If you are currently over the age of 60 and you take a vitamin B12 supplement every single morning, I need you to pause what you are doing and listen to this very closely, because there is a high probability that your routine is not doing what you think it is doing. It is a conversation I have in my office almost every single week. A patient will sit across from me, looking exhausted and frustrated, and say, "Doctor, I take my B12 religiously. I never miss a day. So why am I still struggling to keep my eyes open in the afternoon? Why do my feet still feel numb or tingly? Why is my memory still so foggy?" Just the other day, a gentleman in his late 60s named Arthur came to see me with this exact dilemma. He had been swallowing a B12 tablet for 7 years. His blood work looked perfect on paper. Yet, his balance was becoming unsteady, his energy was flatlining, and he was beginning to worry that he was losing his mental sharpness. The reality was shocking to him. He wasn't actually deficient in B12, but his body was completely unable to use the pill he was taking. Recent understandings in geriatric nutrition reveal that a specific, very common mistake made by older adults can actually block B12 from doing its job, leaving your nerves unprotected even while you take supplements. Today, I am going to walk you through exactly why this happens, why your standard check-up might miss it, and how to fix your routine so you can actually feel the difference in your energy and stability. Before we get into the science of it, please take a moment to leave a comment below telling me your age and where you are tuning in from. It helps me understand who I am speaking to. Also, if you are currently taking B12, but still feel tired or notice tingling in your hands, let me know, because your experience is incredibly valuable to this community. And if you find this information helpful, please do consider subscribing so we can keep looking after your health together. The biggest misconception I see in modern medicine regarding seniors is the reliance on standard blood tests to tell the whole story. Most people, and frankly many busy practitioners, assume that if a lab report says your B12 levels are within the normal range, then you must be fine. However, when we are talking about the physiology of someone over 60, that assumption can be dangerous. Vitamin B12 is absolutely critical for the health of your nervous system, the production of red blood cells, and the metabolic processes that give you energy. When you don't have enough usable B12, your nerves begin to suffer, which is why the first signs are often subtle neurological changes like tingling fingertips, a slight wobble when you walk, or finding it hard to recall a word during conversation. The core problem usually isn't that you aren't swallowing enough of the vitamin. The problem is that your body has lost the ability to absorb it through digestion. You see, B12 is a very large, complex molecule. In order for your body to pull it out of the food you eat or the tablet you swallow, you need strong stomach acid. The acid is what breaks the vitamin loose so it can be used. However, as we age, the lining of the stomach naturally thins out. By the time you reach 60, statistics suggest that more than half of the population has significantly reduced stomach acid production. Without that strong acid, you can swallow B12 all day long, but it will simply pass right through your digestive tract and leave your body without ever entering your cells. I saw this scenario play out vividly with a patient of mine named Margaret, who was 71. She came in complaining that her feet felt like they were burning, and she was having dizzy spells when she stood up too quickly. Her previous doctor had run a standard panel, saw her B12 level was technically within the normal bracket, and told her she was fine. But she didn't feel fine, she felt like she was deteriorating. What you must understand is that a standard blood test measures the total amount of B12 floating in your bloodstream, but it does not tell us how much of that vitamin is actually crossing into the cells where it is needed. In older adults, it is very common to have normal blood levels while the nerve tissues are practically starving. This disconnect is why so many seniors take supplements for years without feeling any physical improvement. This leads us to the first major error in most people's routines. The vast majority of seniors take their B12 in the form of a hard, compressed tablet that they swallow with water, assuming it works just like a headache pill or a heart medication. Unfortunately, for those over 60, the digestive system is often the worst possible route for delivery. Beyond just stomach acid, absorption requires a specialized protein called intrinsic factor. As we age, our bodies produce less and less of this protein. If you don't have enough intrinsic factor, a swallowed pill is almost useless. That patient I mentioned earlier, Arthur, was taking the same brand name tablet every morning, But because his stomach wasn't producing the necessary chemistry to break it down, his nerves were not getting the support they needed. When we simply changed the delivery method, not the dose, just the method, his recovery began. This proves that how you take it is just as vital as what you take. If you are finding this explanation clear so far, please gently tap that like button so I know I am on the right track and can reach more people who need to hear this. Now, we need to address the second significant mistake, which involves the specific type of B12 being used. If you were to walk into a pharmacy or supermarket today and turn over the bottle of a standard B12 supplement, you would likely see a very long word in the ingredients list, Cyanocobalamin. This is the most common form found on shelves because it is incredibly cheap to manufacture and has a very long shelf life. However, it is a synthetic, man-made form of the vitamin. For your body to use it, it must first travel to the liver and be converted into an active form. This conversion process requires a healthy liver, specific enzymes, and a good supply of antioxidants. As we get older, our metabolic processes naturally slow down, and this conversion becomes much less efficient. Essentially, you are giving your body a chore to do before it can get any benefit. I recall a patient named Robert, a lovely man aged 72, who had been taking cyanocobalamin for a decade. His levels looked okay on paper, yet he struggled with numbness in his fingers that made it hard for him to button his shirt. We switched him to a form called methylcobalamin. This is the form found in nature. It is bioactive, meaning it is ready to work the moment it enters your system. It doesn't need to be converted. The difference for Robert was profound. Within a month, his balance felt steadier. Within 3 months, he regained the sensation in his fingertips. The research supports this, showing that active forms like methylcobalamin or adenosylcobalamin are utilized far more effectively by aging bodies. Beyond the form and the delivery, there is a third issue that is often completely overlooked: the timing and frequency of the dose. Because B12 provides energy, many people treat it like caffeine. They take it only when they feel tired, or they skip weekends, or they take a break when they start feeling better. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of how nerve repair works. Vitamin B12 is not a stimulant, it is a building block. Your nerves are coated in a protective sheath called myelin, remarkably similar to the plastic insulation around an electrical wire. When B12 is low, that insulation frays, causing the short circuits that feel like tingling or numbness. Repairing that insulation is a slow, biological process that requires a steady, unbroken supply of nutrients every single day. Intermittent dosing stops the repair work. I remember explaining this to a patient named Elaine, who only took her vitamins on days she felt exhausted. She was frustrated that her memory wasn't improving. Once she understood that her nerves needed daily nourishment to rebuild, she became consistent. It took 2 months of daily use before the tingling stopped getting worse, and 4 months before she felt truly stable again. It is a slow process, and patience is key. Furthermore, the time of day matters. Many seniors take their supplements at night before bed out of habit. However, because B12 plays a role in energy metabolism, taking it late in the evening can sometimes lead to vivid dreams or restlessness, which disrupts sleep. Poor sleep increases inflammation and slows down healing, so you end up working against yourself. The ideal time is usually with breakfast or lunch. There are also environmental factors to consider. Hydration is massive. We often forget that our cells function in a fluid environment. As we age, our thirst mechanism dulls, and many seniors are chronically, mildly dehydrated. If you aren't drinking enough water, nutrients cannot be transported efficiently into the nerve tissues. Additionally, we must look at medications. Common prescriptions, particularly acid reflux medications and the diabetes drug metformin, are known to deplete B12 or block its absorption. If you are on these medications, it doesn't mean you should stop taking them. They are likely vital for your health. But it does mean you need to be much more aggressive and strategic with your B12 supplementation to counteract those effects. By now, you might be realizing that it's rarely just one big thing going wrong. Usually, it is a combination of a synthetic vitamin, a swallowed pill, poor timing, and perhaps a medication interaction, all adding up to a situation where your body just isn't getting what it needs. So, let's simplify this into a clear, actionable protocol that I use with my own patients. This is about turning knowledge into results. First, look at the label on your bottle. You want to see methylcobalamin or adenosylcobalamin. These are the active forms your body recognizes immediately. If you see Cyanocobalamin, consider finishing the bottle and then switching to the active form for your next purchase. Second, change the delivery route. If you are over 60, bypass the stomach entirely. Look for sublingual tablets or liquid drops. These are designed to be placed under your tongue where they dissolve. The tissues under the tongue are rich in capillaries, allowing the vitamin to absorb directly into the bloodstream, completely skipping the issue of low stomach acid or lack of intrinsic factor. This one change is often the most impactful. Third, ensure the dose is sufficient. For therapeutic support in seniors, the tiny doses in a multivitamin are rarely enough. We often look for a daily intake between 1,000 and 2,000 micrograms. Since B12 is water-soluble, it is generally considered very safe, as your body will simply flush out what it doesn't use. Fourth, commit to consistency. You must take it every single day. Nerve repair is a marathon, not a sprint. You are rebuilding tissue, and that takes time. Do not judge the results by how you feel after 1 week. Give it 3 to 4 months of steady use. Fifth, take it in the morning or early afternoon to support your daytime energy levels without risking your sleep quality. Sixth, remember that B12 has friends. It works in concert with folate and vitamin B6. A good B complex or a B12 supplement that includes natural folates, often listed as methyl, folate supports the entire pathway. However, do be cautious with high doses of synthetic folic acid. Natural folate is generally preferred and better tolerated. Finally, and this is crucial, stop looking at the blood test number as the only measure of success. Look at your life. Are you tripping less? Is the numbness in your toes receding? Is your thinking clearer? These clinical symptoms are often a far better gauge of whether the vitamin is actually doing its work in your tissues. I had a patient, a lovely woman aged 75, who adopted this exact protocol. After 3 months, her blood numbers hadn't changed dramatically, but her life had. She was walking with confidence again, she had stopped falling, and she felt like herself for the first time in years. That is what real success looks like. However, I must offer a word of balance here. Vitamin B12 is powerful, but it is not a magic wand. If you have been suffering from nerve symptoms for many years, or if you have structural issues like spinal stenosis or uncontrolled diabetes, B12 can help, but it cannot fix everything on its own. It is a support tool. High blood sugar, for example, damages nerves faster than B12 can repair them, so managing your overall health is still paramount. Inflammation from poor diet, lack of sleep, or stress will also slow down any healing process. And sometimes, what looks like a vitamin deficiency is actually a pinched nerve or another medical condition. If you try this protocol and see absolutely no change, or if your symptoms get worse, you must seek a professional evaluation to rule out other causes. I recall a gentleman who increased his B12 dose significantly because he read online that it would cure his leg pain. When it didn't work, he was devastated. It turned out he had a physical compression in his lower back. Once that was treated properly, the B12 was able to do its job of supporting the nerves, but it couldn't physically move the bone pressing on them. We have to be realistic and holistic in our approach. But for the vast majority of seniors I see, the issue really does come down to absorption. They are doing the right thing, but in the wrong way. Let's wrap this up with a clear thought you can take away today. If you are in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, vitamin B12 is likely not optional for you, it is essential. But the method matters more than the intent. I want you to go home and look at your bottle. Ask yourself, is this an active form? Am I absorbing this? Am I being consistent? A woman in her early 70s once told me that for years she thought she was just getting old, and that the fog and fatigue were inevitable. After correcting her B12 routine, switching to sublingual methylcobalamin and taking it daily, she told me, I feel steady again. I trust my feet when I walk on the pavement. I don't lose my words in the middle of a sentence. That is the difference between simply taking a pill and truly supporting your health. I encourage you to review your routine tonight. Is it serving you, or is it just a habit? Before you go, please do remember to drop a comment below. Tell me what form of B12 you have been using, and if you plan to make any changes based on what we discussed. I read through the comments, and I love seeing the wisdom in this community. And if this explanation helped clarify things for you, please share this with a friend or family member who might be making the same mistakes. It's a small gesture that could make a massive difference in their quality of life. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. Don't forget to subscribe for more honest, practical health insights designed specifically for your stage of life. I'm Dr. Emily Carter. Stay strong, stay curious, and keep looking after your health. I will see you very soon